On DC News Now, flight delays at Reagan National Airport following a security threat. What the FBI is saying about the investigation.
Plus, warm and sunny today, but when will the winds pick up even more? Meteorologist Damon Matson has the latest.
History tonight in Virginia.
I think it's amazing. I think it's about time.
The Commonwealth is electing its first ever female governor.
A D.C. council reinstating its emergency teen curfew. The debate as city leaders look to put an end to mass teen takeovers.
And former Vice President Dick Cheney dead at the age of 84.
I think he should be remembered as someone who was incredibly stalwart in their opinions.
We're taking a look back at his life and legacy.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
And thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 4. I'm Mark Hall.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Annalisa Gale. Well, it was quite a scare there for passengers aboard a United Airlines flight landing at Reagan National Airport after a bomb threat was reported.
We're taking a live look right now at Reagan National, where FBI Washington Bureau is investigating. A temporary ground stop was issued today at DCA.
Now, passengers on that United flight were later bused to the terminal. DC News Now's Liberty Simmons joining us live at the airport with more from passengers. Liberty, what are you learning?
Well, Annalisa and Mark, we saw several emergency response vehicles here on the tarmac, but flights are now back in the air. Passengers will still see about an 87-minute delay, and many passengers say the delays caused quite a stir.
Cell phone video from passengers on a plane show a United Airlines flight quickly evacuated for a bomb threat.
I saw them all as we landed. I was in the window seat, so I could see the line of, the line of vehicles, flashing lights, and I assumed that the plane that was sitting out there by itself was the one that was involved.
Airport officials say United Flight 512 landed at Reagan National Airport at around 11:30 a.m. and then stopped on an adjacent runway away from the terminal in response to the security threat. All flights were grounded and airport runways were closed as emergency crews responded.
I mean, obviously that's pretty nerve-wracking to hear. And any time that something like that pops up, you don't like to hear it.
Several flights were also diverted to other airports during the runway closure. Amy Connor's flight was going to be diverted to Richmond.
So I'm thinking about the logistics of being in Richmond and then having to fly this plane back to DC whenever they let us, and kind of just more of a logistical nightmare.
But runways were reopened just before 1 p.m. Amy and her flight landed safely.
Happy to be here, happy to be on the ground safely.
So 86 passengers and 6 crew members aboard that United flight are safe, and the FBI's Washington field office says no hazards were found, and they are working with local law enforcement on the investigation. For now, live here at Reagan National Airport, Liberty Simmons, DC News Now.
All right, our thanks to Liberty. Let's head over to meteorologist Damon Matson with the first look at our forecast.
Yeah, Damon, today being election day, good day to get out there at the polls.
Yeah, overall the weather hasn't been any sort of headache for folks out there. It's been a little breezy, yes, but hey, we got another boost in our temperatures given that we had a lot of sunshine, mixed with just a few clouds, and the wind that was out there coming out of the west actually helped to bump things up by a couple of degrees. It's 64 at this hour in the district. We're seeing more of those mid-60s across Virginia as well for those heading out to the polls, and even all the way out across our western counties toward the Chesapeake Bay. It did at least briefly now jump up into the lower 60s. So not a bad day overall. Those breezy winds, they'll start to let up as we head into the night, and with a clear sky in place, it is going to start to turn chilly once again for your Tuesday night. Now, this brief lull in the winds is not expected to last. Check this out. Tomorrow, folks, the wind is actually going to get stronger, enough so that we have a wind advisory for some of our western counties in Maryland, West Virginia, and along the spine of the Blue Ridge. Basically, we could see up to 50-mile-per-hour gusts along the highest terrain. Farther east, still though, could have 30 to 35-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and it's that wind combined with very dry conditions that has led to this red flag warning out across the Shenandoah Valley, the I-81 corridor. It is extremely dry, so folks, definitely be very, very careful with any sort of open flames or sparks out there on Wednesday. So yeah, the wind's going to be a big highlight tomorrow, as well as those warm temps. Will we see things calm down and cool down soon? We'll have a full look at your forecast here in just a bit.
DC News Now is your local election headquarters as Virginians vote today on several key races.
Yeah, those include choosing an attorney general and state lawmakers. Topping the list, though, is who will lead the Commonwealth for the next 4 years.
DC News Now's Dave LaValle. He joins us from the Fairfax County Government Center.
Good afternoon to you, Mark and Annalise. Just moments ago, Fairfax County released its latest voter turnout numbers, and here they are. Roughly 20% of registered voters have cast their ballots so far today. Meanwhile, early voting accounts for nearly 24% of the ballots. Elections workers called today's turnout smaller than a presidential election, but larger than a gubernatorial one, which is what Virginians are deciding.
I think it's amazing. I think it's about time.
Fairfax voters like Becca Lakin want to be part of history as Virginia chooses its first female governor.
I would love to see that.
That's huge. Amazing. So excited.
Voters are deciding whether Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears moves up to the top spot, or former Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger gets the job for one term.
I think a lot of us had hoped in the presidential election that we would be able to get a female president, but I think we'll take our wins where we can in getting a female governor for sure.
I think it's a reflection on Glenn Youngkin. I think he was a great governor, and I think Winsome Sears will follow in his footsteps.
The Center for Women and Politics finds 54 women have served as governors in 32 states and 2 U.S. territories.
So much of this country has been run by men that maybe having a woman in power can influence some changes that maybe have otherwise gone unseen.
With the state of the country right now, I think needs a little more help on the lower levels.
Voters believe things will improve in the Commonwealth with a woman's touch.
And I see a lot of families in my neighborhood being affected by different social issues, whether it's the SNAP benefits or jobs, especially in our area with the government jobs either being furloughed.
13 women currently serve as governor in their states. It's only taken Virginia 400 plus years to join the list. Mary Sue Terry had been the closest woman to become Virginia's first female governor, but she lost the 1993 election to former Congressman George Allen. We're live in Fairfax, Virginia. Dave LaValle, DC News Now.
All right, Dave, thank you. Meantime, there's still time to register to vote if you're not registered. Just fill out a provisional ballot. You need to bring a valid form of ID, either a driver's license, a state ID card, or a current utility bill with your name and address. Polls stay open until 7 p.m. Anyone standing in line at 7 can still vote. And don't forget, DC News Now has you covered this election day. We will have teams across the Commonwealth as we await to see who will win these important elections. And then coverage starts both on air and online at 7 p.m.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney, one of the most powerful and polarizing figures in modern American politics, has now died. Family members saying now Cheney passed following complications of pneumonia and heart and vascular disease. Cheney served as vice president under George W. Bush, playing a central role in shaping U.S. politics. And after the September 11th attacks, including the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, before that, he served as White House Chief of Staff, a Wyoming congressman, and Secretary of Defense during the Gulf War.
Cheney was the first that actually served as a real number 2. And I think everyone agrees he was by far the most powerful vice president we have ever had, and really shaped what it means to be a powerful vice president for all of those that followed.
Cheney was 84 years old.
Well, we're less than 24 hours from breaking the record for the longest government shutdown.
Yeah, the 14th vote today failing, even though lawmakers say there could be movement to end the shutdown.
President Trump says the government won't release SNAP benefits until the government reopens, and that despite previous statements that half of the benefits would be funded.
Now, Trump writing on Truth Social that SNAP benefits, quote, will be given only when the radical left Democrats open up the government.
Donald Trump is unlawfully withholding billions of dollars in SNAP benefits from 42 million Americans.
The Democrats are intentionally hurting American families, workers, and businesses with this shutdown to fight for free health care for illegal aliens and to appease their radical left-wing base.
Well, the record for the longest shutdown will be broken at midnight tonight if a deal is not reached. And for continued coverage and also information about available resources for those affected and to see how local officials are responding, head to our website, dcnewsnow.com. Concerns about Medicaid were the center of conversation in Maryland earlier today. Officials laid out how the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which President Trump signed into law this year, will impact people who rely on Medicaid for health care coverage. DC News Now's Kevon DeBree covers Montgomery County for us. He tells us what's being done to address concerns and also what's at stake.
Health officials say there are more than 205,000 people enrolled in Medicaid here in Montgomery County. Because of upcoming changes brought by the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, tens of thousands of them could be at risk of losing health care coverage.
It is an immediate threat to what we do in the health and human service world, and it is, in fact, an all-hands-on-deck approach.
Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services officials talking about the impact the One Big Beautiful Bill Act could have on Medicaid coverage.
We think it's like potentially 23,000 that could lose Medicaid eligibility.
Health officials say new eligibility requirements established by the bill are an issue. Those include a documented work threshold of 20 hours per week, coverage renewal every 6 months instead of once a year, and changing the retroactive coverage period from 3 months to 1 month.
And this is scary. This is actually people that will die if we're not careful, and no one should want that.
There are reasons people receive, these services, and to cut them off so cruelly is going to have a huge impact, not only on those families, but our entire community.
HHS officials say they will provide vital information and support to ensure those at risk can meet the new requirements to keep their Medicaid coverage.
We don't have all the answers, but what I'd like to leave with is we will get there together, along with you, along with the executive branch. There's a lot of work to do, and we continue to do this with a becoming zeal that will help everyone.
In Rockville, Kevon DeBree, DC News Now.